Hello and welcome to Piwik PRO YouTube video series. The topic of the video is what is a goal in Piwik PRO? Unpacking the basics. So what we're going to learn today. First we're going to talk about website goals and their wider business or organizational context. Then we're going to move on to what is a goal in Piwik PRO in particular, what does it mean in Piwik PRO platform, and then we're going to get to the practical part where I'm going to show you how to set up a goal in Piwik PRO Analytics. There are two methods of setting up a goal: automatic via Analytics and manual setup via Tag Manager. Again, we're going to talk about the Analytics, i.e. automatic way of setting up a goal. Then we will show you quickly how to check if the goal is working properly, whether it is being tracked properly. And finally, we're going to talk briefly on how to analyze goals in reports. So let's begin. As I mentioned, we're going to start with the business background of goals. And you can skip this part if you just want to know how to set up a goal in Piwik PRO platform. Every website serves a purpose defined by business goals. From sharing information, almost like a notice board on the wall, to achieve some complex objectives such as acquiring different types of new clients. But how can we measure success, such as gaining new clients through the website? Success is often determined by specific interactions on the site, typically involving a series of steps leading to our goals. From a visitor's perspective, this process simplifies into three main stages: awareness, where they recognize a need or a problem that our website can potentially solve; consideration, where they show interest in our offerings; and conversion, where they achieve their objective, like they purchase something or they become our client. These stages form what's known as a funnel, a model that varies in complexity depending on the business or decision-making process that the visitor has to go through, but generally revolves around these three core steps: awareness, consideration, and conversion. Obviously, for some organization, some or many of these steps could take place offline, or if not offline, they may take place off website. Moreover, they may happen within one and the same visit or across multiple visits. Now, in relation to goals, the conversion stage signifies the achievement of a primary goal, such as acquiring a new customer. In more complex scenarios, primary goal is frequently preceded by smaller intermediate goals, so-called micro goals, leading up to the primary goal, which is also called macro goal. In those complex scenarios, micro goals facilitate the progress towards primary goal, from awareness through consideration towards conversion stage. In our example, that is acquiring a new customer. Sadly but surely, not every visitor will end up being our customer. Technically speaking, however, whether it's a micro or macro goal, there are often some specific interactions on our website. So I guess it's a good time to define the goal in Piwik PRO. And so, goal is a specific interaction that visitors complete on the website, indicating success for the site's objectives. And by specific interaction, we mean, for example, specific click, specific form submission, download, link click, or perhaps specific page visit after form completion. And all those specific interactions could be somewhere in the awareness, consideration, or conversion stage. But here is the important distinction. When somebody performs a specific interaction on the website, we call it a goal conversion, which is again a specific interaction, so-called specific event, goal conversion event that gains the meaning and importance after we set them up in the analytics, and that is the web analytics context. Now let's take a look at the actual setup of specific goal interactions in Piwik PRO. But before we do that, I need to clarify one thing. When using goal in the analytics, we will be referring often to two terms: goal name, which is a dimension and will hold descriptive values describing any given goal, like for example, newsletter form submission, price page visit. Those are examples of values that we're going to assign to a particular goal, and those values will be held by that dimension called goal name. Another term is goal conversions, plural, which refers to a metric which will give us the number of all conversions or specific goal name conversions when used with the dimension on the same report. Okay, now let's have a look how to set up a goal in the analytics. In order to add a goal in Piwik PRO platform, first you need to log into the platform, obviously, but then you need to make sure that you are in the analytics module. If you're not in the analytics module, go to menu and click on analytics and then go to goals tab. Now under goals tab, you may or may not see some goals here already. If you're using analytics for quite a while, you or perhaps someone else may have already added some goals, so that's fine. If you don't see any goals, don't worry, I'm about to show you how to add a goal, so soon you will be able to add your first goal. To do that, what you need to do, you need to click on add a goal, but bear in mind, in order to be able to click on that button and as a result be able to add a goal, you need to have at least manage or even higher, like owner permissions within Piwik PRO platform. I'm just going to click on add a goal button. On the screen, we have some settings that we're going to go over. First one is the name. We're going to come back to that later, but it is a necessary step. We need to provide the name in order to be able to save the settings that we're going to go over in just a moment. When talking about name, I think it's important to sort of get through some sort of system of naming goals. This is especially important if you want to add a lot of goals. So if you're having a big website with multiple different business goals and some micro and macro conversions, I think it would be a good practice to come up with some system of naming goals. If you're just going to add few goals, don't worry about it. As long as you can differentiate between one goal and another, that should be fine. But then the next step would be to choose between track goal automatically or manually. What does it mean? It means that if we're going to decide to track goal automatically, we're going to be using the settings that are available in this gray box. Now, we're going to go over those settings in just a moment, but you need to know that there are some limitations with those settings. Should you meet or come across some limitations that don't let you, let's say, ideally define the conditions for your goal, you can always switch to manual goal tracking. Now, you notice that those settings disappeared, and it means that you need to provide a name, save the goal, and then the rest of the setup is being done in a tag manager. Tag manager is far more flexible when it comes to setting up the conditions for your goal, but it's slightly more technical, and as the name suggests, it's rather manual setup. Now, that said, let's go back to the automatic goal tracking. Here we have this gray box on the goal settings, which is where we have two sections, event type and conditions. Under event types, we can choose event type, and here conditions for that event type. There are different event types. We've got page URL, visit page with URL, visit page with title, which both refer to page view event, but are described by different values, by the URL value or title value. Then we have a custom event. With the custom events, we would need to first set up a custom event in the tag manager and use custom event parameters, category, action, and name, one of those, to specify the conditions for the goal conversion. Then we have a file download, which we would use the URL of the file that can be downloaded from our website, and then based on the conditions of that file download URL, we would be able to track specific or less specific values of the URL. And finally, we have a click external link, also called outlink, which are links to the external websites, or perhaps some of our websites, but tracked on different properties, different sites and apps within Piwik PRO. So let's take an example of the page URL. So if I were to go to the page URL, here I have conditions such as matches the expression, which refers to regular expressions. If you're familiar with those, you can use them as a condition, and they're give you quite a lot of flexibility in how you can provide the conditions. But if you're not familiar with those, don't worry, you can use contains or is exactly. And what is the difference? If we use is exactly, here I have a page that I arrived on after submitting the contact us form. So that's the page that I was redirected after submitting the form. And that's the URL of that page. So I'm going to copy that URL and I'm going to use it here. Important part is when I'm using URLs is exactly, I need to paste in the entire URL exactly as it is. If there are some dynamic values, so when somebody submits the form and we have some dynamic values that are being appended to the end of the URL or somewhere in between the segments of the URL, in this case, we wouldn't be able to use this URL is exactly. We would then need to switch to URL contains and use only the value from the URL that is not dynamic. For example, request thank you. There are some drawbacks to using this method, because if there are other URLs that could potentially match that value, we would track them as goal conversion as well. And if we don't want to do that, we need to make sure to come up with the values that are unique. Now, probably just to mention something about custom event, because it's one example that is slightly different. Again, I already mentioned that each custom event has 3 parameters: category, action, and name. We can use one of those. So category could be click, action could be form, name could be submit, which is the name of a button. And we could use it here as submit. If we, again, we can use is contains, is exactly, or matches expression. That depends on our use case. Again, we can choose whether it's a case sensitive, we want that value to be case sensitive, or uncheck if we don't want it to be case sensitive. Finally, we have advanced settings. We can check that box, allow multiple goals per session. If we want those submit clicks, for example, to be tracked multiple times in particular visit. If not, we're going to uncheck that box. We're going to track it only once per visit, once per session. And finally, here we can assign a hypothetical value, say $3 for every time when somebody clicks on the submit button. So that's the setup. Let's try our goal and set it up as page URL. So I'm going to use exactly, and I'm going to paste in the exact URL. I'm going to leave it to 0, and I'm going to add a name. And I'm going to save it. And in a moment, we're going to check whether it is being tracked properly. I'm going to hit save button. What we need to do now is from Goals tab, we need to go to settings and then Tracker Debugger. Tracker Debugger is a tool that lets you check whether tracking is working properly. I can now see my session here. So if I refresh that, that page is being refreshed with the most recent events, i.e. in this case, page view, which is the one that I'm currently on. But in your case, it might be hard to find your own session because this website is not being visited frequently, so it's easy for me to find my own session. In your case, you might have a lot of traffic currently on the website, so it might be hard to distinguish between your session and someone else's session. So what you can do, you can go to your website and append this little parameter into your website, basically test. What it will do, if you hit enter, it will let's say provoke a page view of a page that doesn't exist, and there's no chance that somebody would go to that page, but it helps us identify our own session in a tracker debugger. So then you can go to page URL and type in something like test, and that will show you the page, and you can see that the test page view has been recorded. So now we know that we're looking at the proper session. You can now perhaps copy your visitor ID in case you refresh again and you won't be able to find your own session, you can use visitor ID, because now you know that this is your unique visitor ID in the tracker debugger in the current session. Now, so once we have that, we can take a look at what is happening here. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go to Contact Us form. I'm going to fill it in. I'm going to add my fake name, Adam Smith, and fake email. And just a test message. I'm going to send it through. So I've been redirected to that page, which basically means that the goal was converted. I can now go back to Tracker Debugger and I can see that the conversion went through. I can see that request thank you conversion was recorded. And that's how you can check if your goal is being tracked correctly. Okay, now let's take a look how we could now analyze our goals. So what sort of approach we could take to analyze goal conversions. First thing that we can do before going into reports, you can go back to goals, and under goals you have your goals, and you can select particular goal. I'm going to do car loan apply now goal because we don't have enough data for the goal that we've just added. So I'm going to use this one. And then here, not only do I have this line chart, I have some just overview for that very goal. So goal conversion rate, number of goal conversions, sessions for a context, revenue. If we track revenue, you will see that number as well. And all that data is for a given date range. You can go to session log, and under session log, you'll be able to see sessions that are associated with that goal, meaning where that goal was converted. There's another report called session log under reports, but that one has no filters. This one is filtered, meaning we see only sessions in which that particular goal was converted. So if I click on show next events, at some point I'll be able to see goal conversion. Yeah, there you go. That's the goal conversion. So that goal was converted in that session. It's very useful if you want to take a closer look at what is happening in sessions in which that particular goal is being converted. Yeah. Another report that you can take advantage of is user flow, where you can see in reverse what were the interaction preceding the goal conversion. So you can see the flow of different page views before the conversion took place. If you want to see more details or perhaps apply some filters into any of these interactions, you can always save that report under, and that way it will be saved under custom reports. That way you can edit it further. Then let's jump on to reports tab. Under reports tab, we have built-in reports. A lot of those reports are structured in a way so we can easily analyze our goal conversions. Again, goal conversions are the most important interactions on our website, so no wonder that's how we structured the built-in reports. Not all reports have such a structure, but a lot of reports from the audience section, acquisition section, and perhaps sort of different type of analysis, but attribution report is tailored towards conversion analysis. Well, that's why the section suggests conversions. Anyway, let's take an example of a particular report, which is device and software. So that's the category of reports, but in here we can switch between different dimension types in this report. So device type, device brand. If I'm looking at the device type, I'm looking at the dimension device type and different values for that dimension: smartphone, desktop, tablet, and so on. Not only we can see here amount of traffic that that each device sort of brought to our website. Perhaps not the device, but the visitors were using a particular device type, and we know that how many visitors and how many sessions we've had when the visitors were using smartphone or the desktop. And then we can see a number of conversions. So we can draw some conclusions which devices tend to get more conversions, and perhaps that might be a valuable insight on its own. Not only that, here I can see the metrics for goal conversions, goal conversion rate. So goal conversions is the number of goals that were converted, conversion rate is the ratio, and revenue is revenue. If we track that, we will be able to see that too. Here we have this drop-down menu where we can select any particular goal. So basically it's a way of filtering our goal conversions. So now we're looking at the conversions for that particular goal alone, and that way we can see how it performs on different devices. Moving further, we can see the same structure for the location report. So we can see different dimension, but the metrics are the same. We can again select the different goal names for our analysis. One thing that you should bear in mind is that this drop-down menu will be visible only if you have at least one goal here. If you don't see this drop-down menu, probably because you don't have any goals just yet. So once you add goals, you'll be able to use this drop-down menu. But going to some other reports, channel report, source medium, let's take a look at this one. We see different values for that dimension, amount of traffic that a particular source and medium had brought to our website, bounce rate, so engagement metric, and conversion. Again, we can check it against particular channels. So that may help us plan how much effort we need to put into driving more traffic from all different channels. Finally, we have a attribution report. This one goes a step farther because we're looking at channels, but here we can change the attribution model. What is attribution model? And attribution model is the logic by which we give credit to channel. What do I mean by that? If I were to go to our website and submitted a contact form, and I arrived to that website via, let's say, social media, the full credit goes to social media, to social channel. But what if before that session I've been to website, let's say 2 days ago, but I came via search engine, and then a few days before that I came via let's say some sort of referral. Now, which channel should get the credit for it? Now, in these reports, the full credit goes to the channel that had brought the visitor in the session in which the conversion happened. But in the attribution report, we can play with the credit that is being given to those different channels across multiple sessions. So we can use linear model, all different models. Now, I'm not going to get into more details of that, but all I want you to know is that such analysis, multiple session analysis, is possible using attribution modeling. I'm going to create another video on attribution reports, and I will add a link below that video for your reference. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking it and subscribing to our channel. Check the description below to find some useful links like free Piwik PRO sign-up page, community forum page, and links to related videos. Until next time.